Please welcome on stage Max and Markus.
Hey, stay with us for a second. No.
Please go ahead.
All right, bummer. She still has to work on the presentation and the demo I'm doing later on. So first, it's amazing seeing Giovanni on the stage. She's doing a tremendous job, but she's doing one thing even better, putting my visions into reality. When we look at the universal editor, it's always like, hey, I want to have this, and that. And she's doing the work. So, talking about the vision. Oh, yeah, thanks. So, talking about the vision, a lot of people were approaching us like, hey, why do we need a universal editor? We have Word. Word is so awesome. But the universal editor also brings its benefits on the table, like, validation, telling you what you can do where, and all that kind of stuff. So why not bringing both together? And today we're going to show you what we did as a POC to bring Word, or let's say doc-based authoring, together with the universal editor. So, I got already introduced. I'm Max, and with me is Markus.
Hello, I'm Markus, working for AIM Science Engineering as well. So you know me probably from the last year. I'm doing a lot of stuff with Edge Delivery. And for today, I have the pleasure to give you an introduction into AuthorBus. We try to demystifying all the buzzwords like what is actually DA, what is AuthorBus, what do we envision under structured content editing, etc., etc. Then we will give you a little bit under the hood view how DA is actually organized and how the architecture of DA looks like. And then Max will give you all the details, all the nice little new notches on Universal Editor and give you the fancy demo how everything actually works together. Before I start, I have a little disclaimer here. So everything you hear and see about DA in this presentation, or DA in general, is currently early access technology. So if you go to our documentation, you can find everything about DA and Universal Editor, but there will be a colorful sticker on the page saying this is early access. Early access basically means at the moment, right in this moment, as we speak, it basically comes with no guaranteed SLA. It's sort of a community project. It evolved as an Adobe.com internal project and is now built together by AEM Engineering, together for Adobe.com team. And we're working on getting this in a real product status. It's not a technical issue, it's more like all the processes around, like ops, like support processes, training our support folks. This stuff has all to be done before we can do put an SLA sticker and make this official product. However, you can already use it. You're free to use it today. It's already included in your, if you have an AEM license, there's no issue to not using it. And we actually have production customers using it already right off today. So we have over 500 websites operated and managed, offered within DA on Edge Delivery live today already. So nothing stops you from playing with it, and if you're interested in, reach out to us and you can start playing with it. So let's start about a little bit looking into the buzzwords. And I will start with AuthorBus. What do we understand of AuthorBus? If you work with Edge Delivery, probably the term bus maybe sounds familiar for you because there is a content bus, there's a product bus, and now we have an AuthorBus. Basically, AuthorBus is what we, the name we put on the technical foundation layer. So all the core internal services of what you see in a few minutes, which is basically the foundation stack for the DA editing and for the universal editing. This is what we call AuthorBus. It's basically the name for our technical stuff. If you speak with technical people, we call it AuthorBus. If you speak to business people and showing more the features, then this is what we call DA and universal editor. So next one, DA. What actually is DA? And probably a few of you guys here in the audience have heard DA. I guess mostly have never heard. So I have would like to do a quick quiz. Who actually knows what DA is? So wrong answers only, please. Do I get a hands? Oh, I see Ina. Ah, you know it. Ina, tell me. that's already close. Do you have more? Jörg? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, but super German specific. Anyone more? I see Raquel has hands up as well. Danish architecture. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I like Danish pastry, but Danish architecture is actually new to me. So I help you a little bit. I've also a few answers. It's obviously not dinosaur algorithms. It's also not debugging apocalypse. Even we have this from time to time in our AEM projects. And it's also not, and this might be a surprise for some, it's also not dark alley. Actually, maybe this is just partially true because initially we really called it dark alley when it was started as an Adobe.com project internally. But obviously you cannot have an official project called dark alley. That would be awkward even for Adobe. So the real name actually is pretty simple. DA stands for document authoring. Very simple, nothing super fancy like before. But document authoring, wait a second. Do we actually have document authoring? You guys from Adobe told us, hey, you have document authoring since 2 years. We have word-based editing, we have Google Documents, all this kind of stuff. So why actually there is another one? This is interesting. So obviously, yes. So we totally believe into the principles of document-based authoring, and we think this is super valuable for many, many use cases, and we have basically the proof for that because we built so many websites which our customers brought live with using document-based authoring. But at the same time, we also learned maybe telling people, hey, everybody knows Word. You can do websites of Word is maybe not the very best idea because there are a few limitations. And everybody who maybe tried to build an extension or plugin from Microsoft Word can feel the pain. Spoiler, we did this once in one project. Building a Word extension is super easy, just JavaScript, even for the desktop Word. It's a few lines of JavaScript, but getting this deployed into an enterprise organization, getting it certified, getting it signed, getting it approved by corporate IT processes, it's a pain and it's a nightmare. So for this one project, building the Word plugin took us 2 weeks, getting it deployed more than 3 months because of all the corporate processes. So there are a few limitations we learned from the feedback of our customers, which if you use SharePoint or Word. Another example of speaking about SharePoint, have you ever tried to do bulk replacing, like in AEM, you replace a tag because the tag gets deprecated and you want to tag 1,000 documents with a new AEM tag. In SharePoint bulk operation, it's almost impossible. So we came up based on the feedback with our own idea of how we would envision document-based authoring if we build it by our own. And this is what now we envision and called DA or document-based authoring. So what it actually is, it is a new, super lightweight, edge-based rethinking of the CMS. So basically, it consists of all the features you know from AEM, from classic AEM here as well. So obviously, you have a view to browse your content, to navigate the content structure. We have the 2 editing paradigms we support. We support Universal Editor and WYSIWYG guided editing, as you see in a few seconds. And also we support the classic document-based authoring, because this is what we still obviously believe in. It has translation workflows, it has import-export tools built in, and has an integration to AEM assets, so you can connect it. Obviously, you need to use your assets. It has built-in access control and security. And as you have seen this morning in the first talk from Patrick, extensibility is super important for our customer, so it obviously supports extensibility as well. So you can extend the Universal Editor, as we have seen already, and the same time, similar way, you can also extend DA. You can add extensions to the editor, you can even build your full screen app in the DA frame and build your custom application inside DA. This is totally possible. But as I said, for us, we know WYSIWYG and guided editing is super important. That's why we also started based by a small POC, just 2 weeks, and now we have first customer license last week on using Universal Editor in combination with AuthorBus and DA. Because we know the fact customers want guided authoring, they want WYSIWYG, they want real preview, etc. And the good thing is with DA and AuthorBus, we are not forcing you to do any choice, because you can get both options. Technically, it's even a third option, which I cover in a second. But you can use both of these options on one website You can say typical use case is you have, I won't go through the entire list, but typical use case is you have your landing page, you have product pages where you want to give the authors way more guidance. You need immediate feedback if you do a change on the homepage. You maybe have more structured offering where you need drop-down boxes filled out, you need field validations. Authors shouldn't go crazy on your homepage because you don't want to break the content. And for this, you can use WYSIWYG editing, and you are super happy with the universal editor. The same time, on the same website, if it's a commerce site, you maybe have service pages or press releases or whatever, or a blog. We have really content-first, text, image-heavy content with a long text. Maybe you have, I don't know, if it's a shopping website, you have a lookbooks or these kind of things. And these are more content-driven. Maybe the content comes from an agency, you get them over via classic Word document. This is a super typical workflow. And for that, document-based offering is maybe the better approach. And as I said, you can use the same both offering technologies on one website together, and you can mix and match as needed if you go with AuthorBus and DA. The third option, which I only mention here, we're also looking into form-based editing, so basically the classic AM, we could call it AM headless. We're also looking into form-based editing approaches for edge delivery on top of DA. This is not part of this discussion, this is super early, but if you're interested, just reach out to me as well. This is about the buzzwords, so now let's have a look under the hood. We open the trunk, look how the engine actually looks like, and this is the sort of the 10,000 meter view, high-level view. Interesting
fonts.
The fonts are messed up a little bit.
That's new.
Okay, that's new. I will try to unscramble this a little bit.
Shekanya, please don't mess with our slides.
This never happened in a dry one. I'm not sure what happened here. So, the core building blocks of AuthorBus is...
It's even in here. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. It never happened on my machine. So the core features of AuthorBus is basically the AuthorBus itself. So this is the core service layer. We look in a second, and the boxes around basically. This is the document authoring box. This is the UE box at the top, and the rest one is the edge delivery box because DA is obviously connected to edge delivery services. If you hit publish, it's sent to edge delivery services. And in the bottom here, we have our extension possibilities for different applications. This is an interesting one. Entire DA, and I hope the next one looks better. Oh, this one is not scrambled anymore. So the entire DA CMS stack is basically, it's super thin, it's super lightweight, and I bet here it's probably smaller than some of your actually real website projects you do on classic AM. It consists out of 5 Git repos. These are basically 4 services for the individual backend services you will see in a second, or you see already here. And this is one GitHub repo for actually all the UI elements. And in total, it's roughly 50,000 lines of code. That's all. That's the entire CMS system. Or almost all, it's excluding the universal editor itself. So how actually is the architecture of the AuthorBus built? So starting from the bottom, we have the persistence layer. For that, we use classic object storage. So this is basically R2, S3. Nothing super fancy. We also use a key value pair storage for storing site information next to the actual content, which is configuration, etc. And for the document offering only, we also use in-memory objects for real-time collaboration if multiple people work together on the same document until it's actually really persisted. Then we have the service layer. The core piece here in the middle, that's the most important one. That's what we call DA admin. That's our admin service. This is sort of the super quad service, or it does all the storage handling, all the read-write operations to the storage layer. It has APIs for doing document versioning and has access control management built in. This is basically the core layer for all access to our content. Then we have DA Collab, that's the backend service for the document authoring. We have DA UE, which is, as the name you can guess, the backend service for which is used if you work on DA documents with Universal Editor. And we have DA Content, That was one of the scrambled boxes from before, which is a very thin service, which is actually only come into the picture if we hit publish and something is sent to Edge Delivery, because this is the service Edge Delivery is talking to. And in the top layer, we have our UI elements. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We have, if you go to da.live, which is actually a domain, I should have mentioned it earlier. We have the content browsing, we have the document-based authoring, we have a sheet editing, which is sort of a mini kind of Excel stylish, because customers are used to using Excel as well in the classic SharePoint world. So we have a sheet-based editor as well, we have configuration management, and we have a built-in super mini media browser and media management as well. If you're not an AM Assets customer, you can still use DA directly and upload your asset to DA. Alternative would be not using the built-in media library and working with classic AM assets, which is obviously integrated as well, as you see in a demo in a few seconds. Then we have extensibility, so options to either build your own full-screen custom apps in the DA UI frame or build extensions for the editor, and we have the universal editor for doing the specific content offering. And since this talk is about the universal editor, let's dig into this box a little bit deeper. And this is the next one. The universal editor itself consists out of two basically modules, which the guys from the team can maybe explain way better than I can do. But it's basically the UI part, what people are interact with, and the universal editor UI communicates with a backend service, which is the UE service. And that service has plugins, what we call plugins, basically for the different persistence layers. So there's also one, if you use it with a classic AM and with JCR and Crosswork, there's also a plugin for JCR, which is then come into the picture if you added the content which is stored into JCR. And for AuthorBus and DA, there's a DA plugin. And as you could guess, this is talking to the service you saw before, the DA UA service, for all the interactions, and then DA again, DA UE again uses DA admin to do the operations. What DA UE does for the universal editor, it basically takes the Edge Delivery HTML, so the same HTML which is used on the Edge Delivery website. It's the same semantic structure HTML, there's nothing different here. And it automatically instruments it with the tags and the selectors needed for the universal editor, because the universal editor itself only operates on the content which is actually rendered in the editor frame. It doesn't do any extra calls, nothing. It only can see and interact what is actually on the actual page and what is instrumented. If you have a project on Edge Delivery, this is all done for you. You don't need to do any extra work because the instrumentation happens automatically and then can be used by the universal editor. And this is actually a good segue now for Max to dig deeper and give you an update on Universal Editor and the demo.
Yeah, but before we start with the demo, let's quickly talk about what we have done the last couple of weeks. So number one, really to mention what we started about 2 months ago is a weekly release update, which means like every Thursday, you're going to get the newest version of the service, of the UI, all of that. Also what we have introduced, because we have seen we might have broken one or the other customer, unfortunately, but it created the necessity to have a preview service. So actually, we are also rolling out, let's say, kind of like a stage environment. So the users have the possibility to switch between what is going to be currently in production and what is going to be next week in production. We are also planning to roll this out for the IAM dev and stage environment, that they're directly going to the preview environment, so that they will see and can test if their application or everything, including their extensions, are working properly with the universal editor. Also, there were super important other updates, like the undo and redo. So many people were waiting for it. Also, copy and paste. Also, copy paste across pages. That's something we plan to roll out the next 2 weeks. Then also, of course, the multi-field support. We have seen this this morning as an extension. I think it's it's a necessity when we look at core components, what they have, and in a lot of headless projects, they really need that. And also the plan is to get that multi-field support into Crosswalk. Then what we are currently working on is a new RTE. Unfortunately, TinyMC is giving us some hard time, so we are moving. So it's going to come. And last but not least, also having IP allow listing, because we have seen customers, might be on AMS, cloud service, or on-premise, they would need, if they use IP allow listing, hosting the universal editor service directly on-premise. And it's not very fair to ask this, because it needs infrastructure, weekly updates, and all that kind of stuff. So we introduced something that we can support IP allow listing for them. All right, so Sharanya, are we ready with the demo? You prepared everything? Good. All righty, so we have seen DA Live. Let me make it bigger for you. All right, cool. All right, so you go to DA Live and you're going to see that screen where you see all the different projects. We have here a DA block. Oh, that's not intended. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Thank you. All right, and we have AdaptTo folder. So what I'm going to walk you through very quickly is building a new web page with DA directly, doc-based. Because that's the fancy thing. You can go get the content, just put it into a document, and there you go. So what I have prepared is already a little sample content. So about the big question, do you know the real DA? That page is not very much. So let's put there a little extra stuff. I want to have a hero. I only have the hero content. But let's use the block library. And the block library is something, oops, oh, come on, clumsy fingers. The block library is an already delivered set of boilerplate components which can be used by any project, and they're natively integrated into DA. And what I want to add is a hero block library. So it's already giving me a template so that I get a feeling in terms of like what content is actually required. I'm just going to override this one with my stuff very quickly. Yep. You know, it's kind of like going with Word documents, you know the drill. Let's put there a new card, because we were actually talking about 3 different things. So we have the dark alley picture. And that's the right one here. And let's take the text. And voila. When we go here, oops, into the preview, at some point of time, we will get an idea in terms of like how the page is going to look like. It's document based. It's very simple, like to create the content and also to put things together. But you actually, like when you look at the tables, it's hard to follow in terms of like, hey, what's going on there? And also when it comes to validation, in terms of like, are all fields actually valid and have the right input, what the rendering component is expecting? It's hard to tell. So what Markus and I actually did, and that's what he explained. I love my life. Is actually all those blocks are automatically instrumented on the universal editor. So I was opening the very same page directly in the UE. And as you can see with the blue boxes, and also in the content tree, everything what is on the page is there and can actually work with. So let's do a little, changing the text. That's the real DA. Change a little image. Change text here if we want. We can do all that in context editing, which is there. We even can add new blocks with a new, let's say, Let's create a new section. In the section, let's take a quote block. And put there some text like, what are you waiting for? Christmas? So it's actually persisted, at least we can see it here. But let's go back to my initial content where it was. Here. And have a look. We see everything is updated with the content, what I just put there. And who knows from whom was that small little quote? Duke Nukem. And if we go back, of course, it's going the other way around as well. We see Duke Nukem said this. And of course, like out of the universal editor, because like it's not fair that we jump back and forth and do here something and there something. It's really about having both nicely integrated. You also could put that page directly live out of here. So what you can see is end-to-end, everything is working nicely together, which makes universal editor and doc-based kind of like one thing. Good. So the question was like, what are you waiting for? Christmas? No. Like, what you should do is like, do a little hands-on. What you all need is, you know, like the standard DA setup, just getting a repository, follow the steps, follow the documentation, and you're going to be ready and live. And you can use both things the way I was showing you. So the takeaways are AuthorBus and Universal Editor are natively integrated. They're very powerful and flexible. It gives your content managers all the freedom they want. The authors can choose what they want. They can use things side by side if required. And you're welcome to try it out today. What are you waiting for? Thank you very much.
That was awesome. Thank you. Please come onto the center stage so everybody can see you. Yeah, there aren't a lot of questions. Thank you, Tad, who has been answering quite a lot, which are the ones related to DA. Yeah, so just so first one for you. People would like to know where they can see the details about the weekly release updates.
Well, you have to Google it. I don't have a deep link, but we could share it.
Yeah.
So there are release notes, and actually they're posted every week. I just got a notification of one customer. There's one missing 2 weeks ago. But yeah, just Google for release notes, Universal Editor, and you're going to find it.
Yeah, it's also posted every Thursday on Experience Week, the latest version. So you have it there as well. Okay. Then, does TA and UE provide an audit log where author operations can be reviewed?
Yes, they do. So DA has a built-in versioning, and mostly classic, similar to classic AEM, you can either manually, with a press of a button, create a version. It's automatically creating unnamed version for every content change, and it's also creating versions every time you publish. And you can navigate between the versions, you can compare them, and if there's a need, you can also revert back to a previous version of the content. That's all possible. And this is independently of the actual editor. If you edit with UE, or if you edit with doc-based, the versioning is working on the DA admin level under the hood, so it's the same for both.
More? Can documents be uploaded? Yes,
they can. So you can actually upload either your HTML page document directly. You can, if you are already on document-based authoring with SharePoint, you can also drag and drop an Excel file or drag and drop a Word document, and tada, magically we will convert this under the hood and make it a DA page or make it a DA sheet. And for larger uploads, we also have built in DA, there's a little apps button in the apps section. There are also pre-built apps next to your custom apps, and one of them is a bulk import. So if you want to import a larger set of documents, that's totally possible.
Okay. We have something, I think, a bit more from crosswalk perspective, that defining and managing the component models and definitions are a bit difficult because it cannot be done easily on local dev. So if there is some improvements planned to for this, basically. Yeah.
You want to take this?
No. No. Hang on, for crosswalk, okay. There are some challenges. When we look at crosswalk on a local host, it's the connection to the author or to EDS itself is missing. So it's not easy to have, let's say, EDS or crosswalk running locally. We have, like for us developers, we have the capability to do so, but this is not yet something we can roll out to a lot of customers. What we are also doing from the universal editor perspective, we are currently working on, first of all, improving our documentation. It's a mess. Then number two is that we enable local development so that there's an easy guide in how you set up your SDK to work with the universal editor that gives you the capability to easily, hopefully, then build the models, the filter, and the components definition.
Cool. Next one again for DA. Does DA support nested block containers?
No, it doesn't, because as simple as it is, edge delivery doesn't. So DA follows the same semantically rules for a document like edge delivery, and basically we have to play within that guardrails. So you can do nested content for sure, which you usually do via embedding of fragments, like for example, building a carousel which has multiple carousel items, and then you can embed, instead of putting and copy and pasting the document content over and over, you can also use fragments. That's totally possible, but it's not exactly the same as nested blocks.
Okay, great. That was it. Thank you all for the great questions, and thank you for the wonderful talk.
Thank you.